All right, our last part of this video of statistics is going to be based off of outliers. So outliers are sometimes really easy to detect, other times they're not. So if I'm looking at our data points, say here from our candy bars, none of them really look too crazy out of the ordinary. The only one maybe looks out of the ordinary is the 60. Everything else looks like it's pretty much in the range of what we think it should be, or they're pretty close to one another. But in order for us to truly find out whether or not there is an outlier in any direction, left or right, we are going to do a little simple calculation. And what we're going to do is based off of the quartiles that were given up here. Upper quartile is called quartile 3 or Q3. That's your upper 75% of your data. Your lower quartile is usually called Q1, and that's the 25% part of your data points. So what we're going to do is we're going to use those numbers to find out what is called our lower and our upper fences. So our lower fence is our Q1, that's the lower portion of our data, so our lower quartile. So we're going to call that what's called the lower fence. So what we do is we take our Q1 number and we're going to subtract 1.5 times whatever our interquartile range was. So it's 76. In this case, why did I just write that? I'm going to just show you the basic formula and then I'll plug in my numbers. IQR. Okay, and then when we're doing the upper fence, we do kind of the same thing, except for we put Q3, not Q1. And instead of subtracting it, we're going to add, because we're going to see how far up the numbers can go before it's out of the range. So for the lower fence, our Q1 was 156. So for this, we're going to put 156 here. We're going to subtract, and then we're going to find out what 1.5 of our QR is. So it was 76. We're going to times it by 1.5. Now this number, once you calculate it, is the same for both the upper and the lower fence. So you don't have to calculate it. You only have to calculate it once. So 1.5 of 76, which when you do that ends up being 114. So when I subtract 156 minus 14, I get 42. So 42 is kind of your cutoff point. So even though 60 looks a lot out of the ordinary, it's really actually not an outlier. Anything 42 or lower would be an outlier. Now we're going to look at the upper fence. The upper fence would be our Q3 number, which in this case was 232. We'll add the 1.5 times the 76, which is the IQR. So again, we already figured that number out, which is 114. So we're going to take 232, we'll add 114 to that, and when we do that, we end up getting a total of 346. So none of our numbers are outside of the range, either on the lower end or the upper end of this data. So that means that we do not have any outliers in this particular set of data points. If you'd like more questions like these, found them on my YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at YouWantAlgebra. These will all be located in the statistics section.